Welcome to TV Africa News. Thank you so much for joining us and Doris being part of us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahaba Kajura, but first are the headlines. Government dragged to court over controversial coffee deal. Presidents Museveni and Kagame discuss regional peace on sidelines of Muhoozi's birthday. France accuses Russian mercenaries on staging a massacre in Mali. In our sports today, undisputed Uganda win 2022 Rugby Africa Men's Sevens. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, the Ugandan government has been dragged to court over the controversial coffee deal that it signed with Uganda VC Coffee Company Limited by two city lawyers seeking an order to compel the respondents to terminate the agreement they made regarding coffee bean produce. We have the details.
In a suit filed before the Civil Division of the High Court in Kampala on Monday, two advocates, including Henry Byansi and Michael Aboneka, say the deal between government and Uganda Vinci Coffee Company is in bad taste and ought to be reviewed. Byansi, who says he has a small-scale farm located in Luka, in his affidavit, say that as a coffee farmer, he knows that the sector is composed of small-scale traders and farmers, middlemen, small and large-scale exporters, development partners, farmer associations and unions who have a right to be consulted as stakeholders before introducing a new policy, which was not done. He argues that it was wrong for government not to consult the Solicitor General, Minister of Agriculture, Uganda Coffee Development Authority and other related agencies before signing the coffee deal. The petitioners also say government failed to comply with the provisions of the National Coffee Policy 2013 and the National Coffee Act 2021, which impose a duty on government through its agencies to ensure that the coffee subsector is operated under a competitive and liberalized market environment. The two petitioners have asked court to declare that actions of the Minister of Finance of secretly handpicking Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited at the detriment of other able Ugandan farms to manage production, export, selling and setting prices of coffee beans and related products is illegal. The Attorney General and Uganda Vinci Coffee Company Limited have been listed as respondents.
Away from that, Presidents Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and Paul Kagame of Rwanda have agreed to push for joint regional peace and stability. Now, the two held a private meeting on the sidelines of First Son and Commander Land Forces Muhoozi Kainerugab's 48th birthday state dinner. We have the details.
Sources at the Entebbe State House say that the two heads of state agreed to push for joint regional peace and stability, with first of all addressing the existence in the Democratic Republic of Congo. On arrival at Plot 1, Kagame, who was in Uganda for a one-day private visit, was received by Museveni, First Lady Janet Museveni and the First Son. Museveni welcomed Kagame to Uganda and said that the problems affecting the region, like the crisis in Congo, needs collective approach from all regional members. In his remarks, Kagame said that the Congolese problem should not be a responsibility for others, and say that leaders and all parties must talk to solve the crisis once and for all. According to the presidential press team, Museveni also updated President Kagame on the talks that were held in Nairobi, Kenya, between the government of Congo and the M23 rebels in the recent clashes. Later, Museveni, together with the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Kataha Museveni, hosted Kagame to a dinner in honor of Muhoozi. President Kagame last visited Uganda in March 2018. General Muhoozi Kainerugaba is credited for his role in restoring the Uganda-Rwanda relations.
Away from that, every year hundreds of thousands of people, mostly children living in Africa, succumb to malaria, an age-old mosquito-borne scourge. Now, the World Health Organization estimates that 627,000 people died in 2020, an increase of 12% from 2019, now mainly due to disturbances in access to care linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, today, Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the day.
World Malaria Day was established in May 2007 to provide education and understanding of malaria and is commemorated every year on 25th April to recognize global efforts to control malaria. Malaria is a threat to half the world's population. Some 241 million cases were recorded worldwide in 2020, 14 million more than a year earlier. The vast majority of cases and deaths occur in Africa, where 260,000 children die from it each year. Half the world's cases in 2020 were reported from 4 African countries: Nigeria with 31.9% of known cases, DR Congo with 13.2%, Tanzania at 4.1%, and Mozambique with 3.8%. In 2020, some 80% of the total malaria deaths on the African continent were children under 5. In October 2021, the World Health Organization recommended broad use of the world's first malaria vaccine for children in sub-Saharan Africa. More than $155 million have been mobilized by the Vaccine Alliance to enable its delivery. Other vaccines are on the horizon, including one developed by Oxford University, Matrix M, which in trials has shown very high efficacy.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Africa Today takes a quick break. We shall come back with our international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the Bright to Know. In international news today, former President Mwai Kibaki's body has arrived in Parliament for a 3-day public viewing. Now, the military truck carrying the body made its way from the Lee Funeral Home through Valley Road, escorted in a military convoy.
Mzee Kibaki's body, which will be surrounded by Kenya Defence Forces officers and will be viewed from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. There will be protocol officers present to guide the public at the Comesa grounds in the Kenyatta International Convention Center, designated as the holding area. Kenyans are paying tribute to the late President Mwai Kibaki, who died at the age of 90. Among those who spoke is Charity Ngiru, the current governor of Kitui County, who served as a minister in the government of Kibaki. She remembers Kibaki as a leader who will be missed because of his leadership skills and who spearheaded Kenya out of the terrible economic times of the 90s in ensuring that they got a real economic state of the country where everybody used to say that they are proud to be Kenyans. A number of Kenyans from all walks of life gathered along the road outside the funeral home to catch a glance and pay their last respect to a man they considered a great leader. Chris Wesa, a Nairobi resident, praised Kibaki for economic reforms and stability of the country following post-election violence that befell the country in 2007 and 2008. As funeral plans are underway, condolence messages from Kenya and beyond continue to flock the country in honor of the late third president of the Republic of Kenya.
Moving on, in international news, footage made available by the French military in northern Mali appears to show Russian mercenaries burying bodies near the Gossi base. Now, the Gossi base was home to 300 French soldiers whose control was handed over the Malian army last Tuesday.
French military staff described the images as part of an effort by Russian mercenaries to make it look as if the French military left a massacre behind before handing over the control of the Gossi base to the Malian army. The Gossi base was home to 300 French soldiers. Control was handed over to the Malian army last Tuesday. The first images claiming that the French had committed atrocities were published this Thursday through social media. French military staff claim that this is part of a concerted campaign of false information spread by social media and designed to create a hostile environment in the country. Malian authorities have not yet reacted to the accusations. France announced the departure from Mali last February amid its growing tensions with the military junta ruling the country. Paris accuses Bamako of employing the services of Russian mercenaries of the Wagner Group.
Away from that, Guinea's ousted President Alpha Condé is finally free and can receive visitors, according to the junta who overthrew him.
Condé became Guinea's first democratically elected president in 2010, but the 84-year-old was deposed by army officers last year and replaced by Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya. He was allowed to go to the United Arab Emirates for medical treatment in January, coming back to Guinea on April 10th. His party, Rally of the Guinean People, has said that he has not truly free before or after his trip and demanded his total and unconditional freedom. To back up its call, the RPG suspended its participation at the junta-organized National Reconciliation Conference in protest at his detention. A statement by the junta published late on Friday said that Doumbouya informed national and international opinion that former president of the republic is finally free. The statement said Condé will stay in his wife's house in the capital Conakry until his own private house is constructed in the suburb of Kipe. Doumbouya, who has been sworn in as interim president, has promised to restore civilian rule but resisted international pressure to commit to a date.
Away from that, the French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday secured his second term by defeating far-right leader Marine Le Pen in presidential elections. Now, Macron won by 58.2% of the vote compared to Le Pen on 41.8%, according to the Electoral Commission.
The result is narrower than their second-round clash in 2017, when the same two candidates met in the runoff and Macron pulled over 66% of the vote. The relatively comfortable margin of victory will nonetheless give Macron some confidence as he heads into a second 5-year mandate, but the election also represents the closest the far-right has ever come to winning power in France. A victory by Le Pen, accused by opponents of having cozy ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin, would have sent shockwaves around the world comparable to the 2016 polls that led to Brexit in Britain and Donald Trump's election in the United States. The outcome, expected to be confirmed by official results overnight, will cause immense relief in Europe after fears a Le Pen presidency would leave the continent rather less following Brexit and the departure of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Left-leaning EU leaders, including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, had pleaded with France in the run-up to the vote to choose Macron over his rival. In an unusual intervention published in Le Monde newspaper, Macron will be the first French president to win re-election since Jacques Chirac in 2002 after his predecessors Nicolas Sarkozy and Francois Hollande left office after only one term.
In a business news today, the death toll from an explosion at an illegal refinery in southern Nigeria has risen to over 100 after more people died from their injuries. Now, the blast occurred late Friday at the illegal site between the southern oil states of Rivers and Imo, according to the police.
According to Ifeanyi Naji of the National Emergency Management Agency, the death toll is now 110 from 80 as more people have succumbed to their injuries. Ifeanyi, who heads the NEMA operations in the area, said dozens of people with severe burns are still in the hospitals. Earlier on Sunday, he said that at least 80 had been killed, but that more could die of their injuries. Naji said that burnt-out vehicles and jerrycans used to scoop up stolen crude and petroleum products litter the scene of the carnage. Police confirmed the explosion happened late on Friday at the site of an illegal refinery but did not provide figures on how many died. Idris Musa, head of the state-run National Oil Spills Detection and Response Agency, said an investigation was underway. He said the explosion claimed several lives, especially those engaged in illegal oil refining and bunkering. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday described the incident as a catastrophe and national disaster.
Moving on, in a health news today, scientists on Saturday announced that they have begun a 5-month mission to study how plastic pollution in Africa's main rivers and climate change stresses are impacting microorganisms in the Atlantic Ocean. We have the details.
The survey is being staged from the 33-year-old Tara research schooner, which arrived in South Africa's Cape Town on Friday ahead of the expedition up the West African coast. The researchers will analyze how nutrients and population in major African rivers, the Congo, Orange, Gambia, and Senegal, are affecting the Atlantic. They will trace the sources of plastic pollution at river mouths to understand their distribution and the types of material involved. The research station will also cast nets that can go up to 1,000 meters below the ocean surface to collect samples from ecosystems called microbiomes to be analyzed in labs and on land. The data gathered will help answer key questions about the world's oceans. The researchers will also study the Benguela Current, which moves up from South Africa to the Namibian and Angolan coasts. It pulls up cold water from the ocean depths in a process known as upwelling, bringing nutrients to the surface.
In sports news today, the Uganda men's rugby sevens national team have won the Nile Special sponsored 2022 Rugby Africa Sevens. Now they beat Zimbabwe 22-0 in the cup final to be crowned Africa champions as they went unbeaten over the two-day event in which they conceded only 3 ties.
Uganda got a scoreboard ticking early on through vice-captain Ivan Munyani, who punched on a loose ball to drive over under the uprights. Then Philip Walkroach converted earlier to make it 0-7 to 0-0. Both teams exchanged moments of playing with a man advantage as they both concealed yellow cards in quick succession, first to Zimbabwe's H. Masawi and then Uganda's A. Ofoyoroth. But neither team could make use of that advantage as the first half ended 0-7 to 0-0 in favor of Uganda. Then the floodgates opened as Captain Michael Walkroth got his bite of the ice cake after a strong carry from Desire Ayera. Timothy Chisiga scored a brace afterward to send the fans in attendance into a wild frenzy. All ties were converted by Philip Walkroth for an undistributed gold medal. Zimbabwe, who recovered from a shock loss in their first match on day 1, to march on to the final, won the silver medal. Kenya completed the podium and qualified for the Rugby World Club Sevens after beating Zimbabwe 19-12 in the bronze medal watch.
Well, thank you so much for being a loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.